In this video, we're going to look at some basic algebraic vocabulary and the difference between an expression and an equation. So what is algebra anyway? Well, you've been doing algebra since the first grade. When your teacher put box plus 6 equals 10, you were actually doing algebra. Instead of using a box in the older grades, we'll use a variable, usually a letter. Could be B plus 6, C plus 6, to represent a number. Well, what is a variable? Well, a variable is a letter that represents a number. In this first example, we have, this would be our variable y, and it represents some number. In this example, the variable would be m, and m represents some number. The variable here would be t, the variable would be x. This one has two variables. And this last example actually has 3 different variables. Each one of those would represent a different number. Well, what's an expression? The difference between an expression and an equation has equal sign, and that's where it gets its name. So an equation has an equal sign in it. An expression does not have an equal sign. So these are all examples of expressions, and algebraic expressions are a combination of variables and numbers. So here we have a number and a variable, and a number and a variable. It's a combination of numbers and variables. Well, what's a coefficient? A coefficient is the number that you will find in front of the variable. So for example, in this example, we have 2y. 2 is your coefficient. I mean, 2 times y. 3 would be your coefficient here. That's 3 times x. 4 would be your coefficient here. And in this last example, it looks like there isn't a coefficient, but there's just one x there. So the coefficient is 1. You don't need to write the 1 there. 1x is exactly the same as just x. So what is a constant? Well, a constant in an algebraic expression, it's a number that stands alone and its value doesn't change. For example, I'm going to do this one first over here. Here is your constant. The number 2 is not going to change. It's always going to be positive 2. Down here the constant is 5. It's always going to be positive 5. The constant here this is actually negative 8, and its value is not going to change. And this is actually negative 5. The constant here would be negative 5, and its value does not change. So let's write a few expressions. Let's practice using some of the terminology that we just learned. The variable is m. Okay, there's our variable m. The coefficient is 6. The 6 goes right in front of the variable. Write the expression. Well, there you go. 6m would be your expression for that first example. Let's look at the next one. The variable is h. The coefficient is 5. The constant is 5. Write the expression. So that would be 5h plus 5. The variable is t. The coefficient is 1. Now you can put a 1 there if you want. You don't have to. The constant is 4. So the expression for that example would be 1t plus 4, or just t plus 4. Either one of those is fine. So that's just a little vocabulary that we'll be using in algebra this year.